Oh, hey. We're live, guys.
Oh, hey.
Welcome to the Undrafted Uncensored cast of Pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanker. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
Welcome everyone to the Undrafted Uncensored.
Welcome to
we're
the
going to play a song again.
To the Undrafted Uncensored cast of Pod.
Yep, we're going twice.
Oh.
Whatever.
Thanks, Colin.
It's been a rush. It's been a rush today.
Yeah. I hit the post and what happened?
You missed it by a second.
I'm calling I hit it.
The music was done playing.
Just
right as the music stopped, I was there. And then it started again, and I got confused.
The end of the talk, though, Nick.
It was good timing. I'm taking my timing. Damn it!
I was just trying to make sure you did it while some music was playing.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the bed of music there.
Good
music
work, everyone.
There it is. I was like, I know there's a technical term. Oh, good. It's been a long, dude. It has been a long week. I'm sorry, my brain is fried right now.
Yeah, I feel you.
I had something else funny too, and I forgot what it was. So we'll just move on to the Broncos could potentially have 10 wins. I saw this.
Speaking of funny.
Yeah, Colin sent us this article, and at first it was a big laugh. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed the laugh we got out of it. It was humorous. But then I got to the wide receivers, and I started thinking, is there somebody that's like on the last year of their deal that's not a CeeDee Lamb or an Ayuk that the Broncos could potentially swap for, that's in a contract year, that maybe they could end up, bringing into the organization and turning that wide receiver room around? Because we keep complaining about all that, but I don't know. It started getting me thinking a little bit more that there potentially could be somebody out there.
You got a guy?
I was going to say, who'd you come up with?
So I was going through the list, and I saw Jerry Jeudy's name on that list.
No.
Well, that doesn't that's not valid anymore.
But I went, no, that's not going to work.
It's not on the list.
Yeah, it's off that list because he got a contract extension.
Yes, he did.
You should have gone pure comedy and been like, this Justin Jefferson guy seems pretty good. He's under contract now.
Not anymore either.
And so I ended up going to the Commanders because obviously the Commanders are in the same bubble as the Broncos right now. And De'Ami Brown intrigued me. He's on last year's contract.
I expected you to go Jahan Dotson because Jahan Dotson's going into year 3, so he has one more year left on his contract, right?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, they're keeping Scary Terry, so you're not getting him out of there. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe get some of the. But they're trying to keep all their receivers. I feel like with Jaden Daniels, so I don't think they're looking to offload any of their young talent. But then again, maybe they want that veteran presence in Courtland Sutton. I don't think he brings a ton of veteran presence, but you can convince somebody he does.
I mean, in 17 games last year, he had average 47 yard. Hang on, let me try that again.
47 yards.
I clicked on the wrong stat for a second there.
That's pretty good.
12 yards, 160 or 12 receptions for 168 yards. So he's not getting targeted a lot, but I think there's some potential there. That, I mean, obviously it's the Washington Commanders, so you got to really take his stats with a grain of salt too.
So why De'Ami Brown though?
I don't know. There's just something about when I.
Yeah, that's a random one for sure.
Just watching him and the fact that he's coming from the Commanders, so he'll step his game up, and somebody like that needs a change of scenery. I think. I mean, who would you guys pick?
I'm gonna Google football player name generator because it sounds like that's where you got this from, and we're gonna see what we get.
No. So I just obviously I would rather go Jahan Dotson. He had it down here last year, much more talented than a guy like De'Ami Brown. But I know that the article, which, oh man, I just had it up. I want to thank. 2 seconds while I talk about this. Predominantly orange. Lou Scattaglia. Cool.
Cool.
Who wrote this? I think that's how you say his name, Scattaglia.
Thanks, Lou.
It was how the Broncos can ensure a 10-win season. I personally don't think that getting a wide receiver is needed on this team. The wide receiver depth on this team, or the amount of wide receivers, I guess I should say, is unbelievable.
That's why. Go ahead.
I think that adding another wide receiver to a team that just, they drafted a 28-year-old wide receiver out of Utah with the 6th-round pick, which kind of goes to show you what they think about the wide receiver room after drafting a guy in the 4th round. This was a special teams guy. They weren't drafting a guy to make the roster as a wide receiver. So I think if you're looking for an impact guy at wide receiver to make this team a 10-win team, I don't think a wide receiver does that for the Broncos. I don't think it helps them. Could De'Ami Brown be a potential player later on? Yeah, probably. But who are you going to get rid of or cut down reps for a guy in place of De'Ami Brown? Let's just say Cortland Sutton isn't here. Is it Tim Patrick? Is it Troy Franklin? Is it Josh Reynolds? Is it Marvin Mims? Is it Lil Jordan Humphrey? The guy who I was talking about, Devon Vele. You have Philip Dorsett, who was, I believe he was a 1st-rounder. He might have been a 2nd-rounder for Indy. But you have guys where the wide receiver spot isn't going to get you to 10 wins. I just, unless it's a Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson.
Or like a Brandon Ayuk or like a CD Lamb.
I don't even think Ayuk gets you there. Ayuk is
probably
good.
not. He listed like a bunch of other things too that didn't seem plausible. That weren't gonna maybe if all those things happen, you could see that, but also 10 wins is not gonna be that good anyway with how I don't know. The AFC, I guess
10 wins last year would fluctuate.
Well, yeah, it's a playoffs, but it's you're playing against a team that you have no chance against. You're gonna look sad. That would be sweet for sure. That'd be crazy with the rookie quarterback. But I don't know, that it feels like too with all of the things he did. These guys aren't sticking around. Are you going to pay Brandon Ayuk or CeeDee Lamb or these guys? You're selling the farm to be maybe a wild card team.
Well, yeah, don't tell that to the Lions or plenty of teams.
Well, they built with young players through the draft and through a team. They didn't just do a bunch of things to try to get 10 wins one year and then they're going to there's no way the Broncos can retain any of those guys because they're not going to. Maybe, but I don't see any of those things really coming to fruition for more than a year. If you do
talk about wild card teams, Packers beating the Cowboys last year. Cowboys are going to Cowboy. Texans crushing the Browns. A wild card isn't anything. With the expanded playoffs, a wild card is actually more in play to at least advance. Maybe not really contend, but definitely advance. The Buccaneers beat the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's not going to be worth it because all those players are going to be gone the next year, and you're not going to have any of that same stuff, and you're back to square one when you could have built to that point, maybe been a wild card team next year and been one of those teams, like you said, like the Lions or the Packers that actually have young players and talent they're building for the future, which the Broncos have. But I feel like just trading a bunch of stuff for a guy that's probably not going to stick around and a big high-priced wide receiver, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that's, like you say, I don't think it's going to end up being that big of a deal. All those things together, maybe there were some defensive players that he said pick up, some pass rushers and stuff, but those guys aren't going to maybe you get some guys to stick around, but older guys like that too. I forget all the names now, but it's a hollow 10 wins. It's not a 10 wins that makes you feel like you're actually really going anywhere. It's just it's 10 wins of, look, we got a few players and we had a team, and then now everyone's gone, and I'm trying to think of a good example of teams that show up in the wild card round for a year and then just kind of never make it back. Like Pittsburgh has kind of teetered on that for years, but they're different because, again, Mike Tomlin just kind of coaches them for a few games. But like, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't love to see that. I would rather see them actually get there with the younger players they have. And if they acquire one of those guys and actually have them for the long haul, then hell yeah. But yeah, I don't feel like even if they got to that 10 wins, like it would really even be that much because they still would have so much further to climb. Because like I said, those guys aren't sticking around.
And I was looking at it from addition by subtraction because, like you said, Colin, the run or the wide receiver room right now is stacked. There's, you can't walk in that room without walking into somebody at this point. And that's why I went to somebody like from the Commanders, because you can make a move like that. Excuse me. You can make a move like that with a team like that because you're giving them young talent, which is what they want. You're getting a young talent back, but a young talent that may be able to produce much better than what you have right now. And so you pick and choose with a lot of these lower tier teams that are, at your level or below. You can pick off a guy here or there for a couple of young, 2-3 year receivers, and you get that one playmaker now.
And I do get what you're saying and where he's coming from with this. If the Broncos were to get Ayuk or CeeDee Lamb this year and be able to sign him to an extension, I think that could help with 10 wins next season. But this upcoming season, I think, is a pipe dream. And the reason why I say next season is also because, well, you're going to pay Patrick Surtain this offseason, but you're still going to have money because your de facto incumbent, like up-and-coming number one in Troy Franklin, or the guy you probably want to be, could be a number two at that point, but you have Bo Nix and Troy Franklin, both on rookie contracts, and you could give a big deal to a big-name wide receiver. The name that I'm looking out for after this year is Stephon Diggs. I mean, Stephon Diggs has a one-year deal in Houston. It's a prove-it deal. He's going to be – I don't know how I feel because he is playing for his last contract most likely.
Yeah.
So is he going to get paid and then be done? What's going to happen if it turns into what ended up in Buffalo, him not showing up? I think that was fractured in Buffalo from earlier, more so from coaching staff than from a lack of liking Josh Allen or the team or his teammates. I think coaching really fractured that and him not seeing them make any changes. But Stephon Diggs is a very interesting name that I'm going to keep an eye on throughout this season into next year. Yeah, I just don't think anything you could do. He did mention the center. Oh man, where is it?
Oh, where was it?
It was the page one.
Connor
Williams.
Yeah.
So, yes, a center too. We all love saying Team Kush. Thank you, Jerry Maguire. But I just don't know. I don't know if Kush is going to be that guy or will ever become that guy. And if there's just going to be, I don't want to say it hasn't been a revolving door because Broncos offensive line was very healthy last year.
Yeah.
Does he mesh with the other guys on this offensive line? What's the disconnect that's happening? Because Cushenberry has never – he never seems secure in his job. So I guess there's always something wrong, and it'd be nice to have, especially with a young quarterback, a center that you can just – he's going to be plugged in there. Okay, cool. I mean, Tom Nalen like.
Well, you can't.
All right, it's always Tom Nalen.
Yeah, you can't do that either, though, because when I was, when I played Little League football, I played center, and it took me and my quarterback probably a good week of practice to get used to each other, because each center is different. We stand different, we snap different, we move different, we're different heights, and like you said, you got to have somebody in there that he's comfortable with, because he's got to get under there, he's got to get in there, and he's got to know he can trust that guy. And I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what Tennessee does with Lloyd as their center now.
Yeah.
Because
Let's try. I
Was
couldn't
it
think of
him
our
or
guy's
is it
name
the
now.
is it the line coach? Is it where
And
like you said, Colin? Where was the disconnect? Because he didn't seem to do bad, but he never seemed to improve either.
yeah, it just
Yep.
and he kept. I mean, yeah, and obviously with the Nathaniel Hackett year, everything was going to be. Everyone looked terrible. So but it seemed like he looked worse than everyone else who looked terrible. So I guess we'll see how he looks with the Titans with Levis as his quarterback. Sticking his hand up his butt. So we got. I guess I was googling. I forgot the name. So it's Forsyth is the incumbent guy, and then there's some younger guys that are going to compete. But
Wattenberg from last year's draft is in there too.
Yep. So we'll see. One of my favorite names is the Mustafar system from Star Wars. That's going to be great. That's where Obi-Wan and Anakin had the lava fight. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
All those planets kind of blend together, so you can just kind of take a name and attach it to one and hope you get it right. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, and that might be something that they have to address in the future, even just next year, because they're stuck with who they have. Like if these guys don't work out, because that's going to be, it's kind of a big deal. Like you said, it's he's the first one to touch the ball. So if your quarterback and your center aren't on the same page, he's going to get hit. And that sounds scary for the rookie quarterback. But
well, and this was the issue 2 seasons ago, when when Russ first came in, it was all who's going to be on the offensive line. Everyone was saying there's where are the weaknesses on this team, and it was offensive line, and it's still that. Yeah. You hope that you've shored some of it up. By the way, new season of Shoresy's out. Let's go.
I saw that on Hulu this morning.
Hell yeah.
So you got Powers and McGlinchey. Okay, they're still around, but where's this consistency? And if you're going between Forsyth and Wattenberg, and you're bouncing back and forth,
well, they shouldn't do that. They'll pick one.
Well, you say they shouldn't do that, but look at 2 years ago when Russ's first year, they did bounce around that offensive line a lot.
Yeah.
So, Sean Payton probably much better coach than Nathaniel Hackett, probably won't. Yeah. But who's to say that any of these guys can stay healthy, which is one thing that Cush did do. He did stay healthy, and he was out there. Like I said,
I thought you meant like subbing them out. I'm like, I don't think they're gonna do it. Okay, yeah, injuries.
No, but it was one game. It was one game. Cush. It was one game. Like it was just who the hell is gonna start this game?
Yeah,
and that I think does have something to do with Hackett. So I don't want to put that on Sean, but at the same time, you don't have a guy there at center. So why not pay up? Why not pay up to get the best offensive lineman you can? Maybe there's no one that's good out there. And you're just going to have to tell Bo Nix to get rid of the ball fast. And that's going to be the story of the season. But that's not really the way you want to develop a quarterback. I'm sure Sean Payton knows this.
Yeah, if that's the case, you might end up seeing Zach Wilson or Jarrett Stidham start the season. More likely at this point, Jarrett Stidham, just because you don't want to get Bo Nix hurt.
And that's not how you want to play football. That's not how you want to turn into a 10-win or double-digit win team, is by playing scared.
Yeah,
and that's what you have to do. You don't want to turn Bo Nix into the next Sam Darnold. You don't want him to be Derek Carr. It's a bad situation for the offensive line to be in flux. We talk about this OTA, this camp. When you're coming out of it still with questions on offensive line going into training camp, which is 6 weeks away, where it's still like, we don't know who it is, rather than, okay, we're pretty sure we have two guys that are going to be the guy. One of these two are going to be good at this spot. They just don't know. It feels like they have no clue what the offensive line is going to look like at center, at least. Center and right guard.
No, they've got Quinn Miners.
Miners was tackle. I thought Miners was tackle.
Miners? No, the tackle's McGlinchey. It's McGlinchey and Bowles.
McGlinchey's there. Yeah, that's right. I'm going through. I'm like, what are we doing? Yeah, McGlinchey, Miners. Yes, yeah, and yeah, you're right. Mustapher is the number one. So will Bowles stay healthy this year? there's a lot. So yeah, center is the big question, really. I know I totally blanked on Miners. Good call. But yeah,
he's about
center.
to get paid. He's going to get an extension on the next couple of years. So I'm looking at Pro Football Focus. They have the Broncos as the number 11 offensive line last year. So they were, close to top 10. They were solid, but that also just kind of goes to show how bad offensive line play in the NFL has been the past few years, that Broncos offensive line was borderline top 10, which is kind of crazy because it did not feel like.
But they only had really the offensive line themselves only had really one bad game.
Yeah, they started all 5 guys.
Every time Russ got sacked, that was on Russ. You can only hold your block for so long. And when Russ starts running east-west instead of north-south, that's not going to help.
Okay, so why wasn't their running average better? Why couldn't they run block?
Because their blocking scheme was terrible.
Okay, so it's a blocking scheme, not the players.
No,
not the running backs. Not the running backs being bad. Javonte was terrible.
Because the blocking scheme was terrible. That's what I said.
I think Javonte was also pretty bad.
If you're not adjusting your blocking to what is being presented to you defensively, you're not going to get more than 2 yards of rush. And there were times where they weren't blocked. They were either missing their spot or they just did not plan for anybody. And
to an extent, yeah.
The same place that said that Russell Wilson was one spot away from being a Hall of Famer behind Eli Manning.
It's just a couple Eli Mannings away.
No, it was a Pro Football Reference. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, whatever.
So good.
I'm just, I don't think that line. The one thing that helped them, is that they were all together. But them being the 11th ranked offensive line, I think that's way blown out of proportion. I don't really agree with it because when you saw it, it felt like they were getting manhandled. And I know you can say stuff about Russ, but also teams didn't have to worry about getting to Russ because he was making all the mistakes for them. They didn't have to force him into making mistakes for basically 70% of the season, 60%, whatever it is. He would just make a stupid play on his own and give the ball away. So I don't know. I think teams focused on other things besides sending pressure on Russ.
I mean, I think it was a mixture of a lot of things. Like the running game, it was very telegraphed to who was in the game, how it was going to work. I think Javonte was a lot slower and didn't have the power to break tackles. Like there was a lot of issues with the running. They didn't really run much except for during that win streak when they had to, and they just kept pounding it. But even then, the stats weren't great. It was just they had to do something.
That's how they won games.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's still more than just a commentary on how bad the O-lines have been from the entire NFL that the Broncos were that high up. Yeah. But they can be effective and solid. But this year is going to be the barometer for sure. Is can they get a running game going? And we're going to see what the issues. Maybe it was just Cushenberry. I don't think that's the case. But hey, if it all works out, we can just blame the Cush.
I'm
not been doing it for years.
I'm not saying that Bo Nix is Joe Burrow, but I don't want to see what happened to Joe Burrow happen to Bo Nix. I mean, what was that, week 9 or 10? Joe Burrow's having a rookie of the year type season, and then he gets obliterated and breaks his leg.
Yeah.
That's what scares me.
But that was the best time for that to happen to the Bengals because he's young and he can have it come back. And they were so bad without him. They got fucking Jamar Chase. So you know what? Fucking let's do it. Just, let's fuck up the rookies, something that can be fixed because he's young. Nothing that's going to be, life-threatening or anything terrible. I'm knocking on wood.
No.
But, that actually
don't even say
great
because
the Bengals. You hope it's going to work out that well for you if your quarterback goes down like that.
Not really. I mean, year 2, he came on. But then look what happened last year. He had a lingering injury from the offseason, and you can't say that was from necessarily the first-year injury.
No,
but he had a lingering injury. He had a lingering injury that started the season and was wanting to play and was not – he was not even a shell of himself for probably 12 weeks. I mean,
and he said straight up, too, he wished he would have sat the first 4 or 5 weeks or whatever it was and got that surgery because – it wasn't worth missing out the whole season. And yeah, you saw the whole team suffered,
And so that's what I worry about with this offensive line and Bo Nix. So, I mean, I guess going back to the original thing, to get 10 wins, I think is a pipe dream this year. But could the Broncos make a move like that and pick up a guy that would mean 10 wins next year? Yeah, I mean, I'm fully on board with the opportunity to win 10 games next year because I think they're going to be bad this year, but this is one of those worst to first type of situations that could happen next year for the Broncos.
I don't know. You only have a win in 2 games.
Yeah, a worst to first situation.
Yeah, it's hard to think. So do you think the Raiders
it's hard not to be worse. Yeah, are the Raiders only going to win one? I mean, they might.
Carolina
I'll
Panthers.
take that.
One of those would be
The
a
Panthers
good
also exist.
Oh, I think Bryce Young will have a much better season.
But that's not worst to first because they're not in our division, so that doesn't matter. It only matters the 4 teams in the division to go from worst to first. So, but yeah, I'll take that. Raiders win less than 2 games.
That'd be great. Oh, man.
I want Gardner Minshew to fail there so he can leave and succeed elsewhere, and I can root for him again.
You can't go worst to first if the Raiders are the worst.
Yeah.
You can go thirst to first. Third to first.
Speaking of first,
congratulations,
Boston. The Celtics won the NBA title.
Yeah,
a gentleman's sweep.
First time for everything.
Or an 18th time, whatever.
18 still doesn't trump 27. But anyway, I digress. Congratulations to them. They did what they were supposed to do. They won the NBA title.
They were who we thought they were.
How many more years did the Yankees have to win 27? Just wondering.
Like 50 or 60.
28 this year, so you can.
28 this year.
Okay.
28 this year. Don't worry, trade deadline is.
That's what every baseball fan is saying.
All the changes.
As Aaron Judge hits the IL.
Nope, he's day. He was day to day, and he played yesterday.
Aren't the Mets playing really well right now or something? Anyway, we're going basketball.
But yes, with the Celtics winning, wouldn't it be nice to be so good to have won so many championships that no one shows up to your parade?
Well, they're not the Patriots, awesome. So I mean,
did you see how few people were on the streets for that parade?
No, I've been a little.
I love this.
Tell
me more.
I'm fine. It was. I mean, there were parts that were full. Okay, don't get me wrong. Like places and parts of it had people along it, but the route did not have many people at a lot of.
They all had to work that day.
They're not used to parades anymore.
No, they're so used to them with 18 that.
They're like, fuck them. They didn't sweep. I'm not going to the parade.
Between the Red Sox, the Patriots, and the Celtics, I mean, Boston must be really tired of parades by now.
Well, the Red Sox, it took them a while before they got that win. Wasn't it like 100 years or some shit?
Just about.
You know,
it was like 86.
Kind of a big deal.
A little bit.
I mean, there are some spots where there are people, but there's also places along the line where there's just. I'll share this picture.
Yeah, I was like, you gotta tell me. You gotta show me. You can't tell me.
In comparison to where the Nuggets and the Avs parade was. Oh, that's the wrong one. I meant to share the screen. So, it's not that full. There are some parts, like I said, that there are, but look, that's like 5 people deep.
It's like, oh, hey, look, it's Arbor Day.
Some people are sitting on chairs. There's 1 person deep in this picture. Like I said,
I feel like in Boston, especially, they had a better turnout for the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Like, there's obviously some portions of it where there's more people. Okay, I'm not just saying the whole route was empty, but there were parts of the route that it was like, where are all the people at?
Were they just like sketchy parts of town?
Maybe they went through the wrong part of town. I'm not sure, but yeah, I just this is a live picture, but like that. I mean, Boston is way more densely populated than Denver. Denver,
that's a street,
way more packed than that.
No,
when
yeah,
we
we
had our
filled
Nuggets.
that place in.
So yes, so I guess what I'm getting to is, yeah, wouldn't it be awesome? Like, wouldn't it be awesome to get to the place where, you just who cares about parades? Like, we don't need to show up.
Oh, all
No,
right.
I don't ever want to be there. I think the parade should be a big deal. So let's just keep winning and keep having it
I want
be a
to stay
big
on
deal.
parade.
Yeah, I want to stay
I
on
want to stay on
parade.
parade.
Oh, that's it. That's all I want to do. I wanted to stay on parade this year, but no, we couldn't fucking make any deadline deals, and we couldn't fucking play any young players, and we couldn't fucking win.
You know what? I blame both of you guys for not going last year. That's why we didn't have a parade this year.
For what now?
I feel like I was busy doing something.
I know you were out of town. I remember you being out of town, Nick.
Yeah, I was. That's where I was going with that. But I'm glad you said that, Joe. I'm glad you're complaining about that, because now that the season's over, what's the first thing you do as the Nuggets? What do you
it would have been trying to get Alex Caruso, but that already happened. So,
So what's your first move in the offseason?
You have to figure out what you're gonna do with the 2-guard spot. Are you gonna be able to keep KCP, or is he gone? He's most likely gone, but you have to make your pitch. You have to find your contingency plan while you're making the pitch to KCP. You got to figure out who that's going to be, whether you think Christian Brown's going to make that leap, whether you bring in a bench guy that maybe could start, but you're hoping is going to be a bench guy. Like I was saying, I liked Eric Gordon, but there's talk he might opt into a player option or something. I'm not sure. And he might not take the $5.1 million mid-level exception that the Nuggets can offer. So that's really the biggest hurdle you have to get over, is which guys will accept that you can maybe start. And it's not going to be a guy that you love, or maybe they try to make a trade. But it's going to be like, I've seen some pictures of Jokic hanging out in Serbia with Bogdan Bogdanovic, who's going to be on Team Serbia for the Olympics. He's a solid 2-guard. That would be awesome. He makes too much money. I don't think we could get him. We have to trade for him anyway. So it's going to be a lot, man. I like both the guys coming out of Phoenix, Eric Gordon and Royce O'Neal. Both could be solid bench scorers, contributors. O'Neal's more of a forward wing, but doesn't play as much defense. But you got to knock it out of the park. You got to find that guy. Like when we were all saying, who the fuck is Bruce Brown? We need to find that guy again. And it's one of the hardest things to do in sports. But they might need to do that, and then also get some veteran minimum guys to come in here and fill out the rest of this roster, because you need guys that Malone will actually play. Because if he's going to refuse to put in Peyton Watson and Julian Strother and whoever else that you've invested draft picks and time into, then you need to bring in old fuckers that can at least contribute, like Justin Holiday. You just want to have more guys on your bench so you're not relying on Justin Holiday. Like Justin Holiday would have been like Ish Smith was last year if the Nuggets were more deep, but instead they had to lean more on their starters, and everyone just looked tired. Jamal wasn't healthy. It was just the whole setup didn't work. Andre Drummond, I've heard brought up, and if you can get him to take that $5.1 million, that's a hell of a backup center.
Well, I mean, Peyton Watson dug his. He made his own bench spot, I guess. I don't want to say dug his own grave, but because he played he played like crap when he got his chance early on. And yeah, Malone doesn't give you many second chances, especially in the playoffs. Watson had a hell of a regular season. Then once the lights came on, he shrunk. So for the Nuggets, what happened this year was the complete opposite of what happened last year. When you mentioned Bruce Brown, Christian Brown, played a big role. I mean, hell, we had DeAndre Jordan getting some swats in those games. And what we were hoping to see from Reggie Jackson didn't come through in the playoffs either. So, yeah, the bench did not come through. And so next year, does Peyton Watson take what happened in the playoffs and sulk and linger on that? Or does he improve and make a difference this next year? I think Watson will improve personally. I hope he does.
Right.
But I think that when you look back at even the rotation this year, Christian was in there all the time. I mean, he was in there a lot.
Yeah.
So that could be Peyton Watson this next year. And when you talk about KCP, you know, a 3-and-D type of guy, that's not Watson's game, but Watson can sure as hell play defense and give you quality minutes there. You're right. KCP is going to be a tough ass to keep. And where are you going to find that guy? Bruce Brown has been tweeting out in a cowboy hat some stuff. He's been in Denver. Toronto's probably going to use their player or their team option to keep him and try and trade him for something.
Oh yeah.
Which turns into the whole, oh well, what would you trade for Bruce Brown? Well, I mean that takes MPJ. And
yeah, exactly.
That's
the only thing you can is Porter's contract.
And that's not a good deal. That's a terrible deal. But it's being talked about because of how microcosm we're looking at this and the fondness that we remember from 2 years ago, the championship and how good Bruce Brown was, but we don't remember really how bad or see how bad he wasn't great this year. Let's just put it that way. He definitely wasn't great. He didn't live up to his contract. Michael Porter Jr., though, was really bad in the playoffs for the most part. And so all we're looking back is 2 years ago Bruce Brown compared to this past season's Michael Porter Jr., and they're two completely opposite things. So for the people clamoring for Bruce Brown, yeah, I'd love to get him back here. But Toronto's not stupid enough to release him from that contract so he can choose where to go. And yeah, I don't know who a 3-and-D guy is the Nuggets can get.
Yeah, the list is long of guys that are potential free agents. So I just looked up Eric Gordon. So he's officially or not officially yet, but reportedly gonna decline his player option with the Phoenix Suns. So I'm like, oh fuck, that means he probably can't afford him. So I went and looked at it. He was making $3.2 million with the Suns. So the Nuggets could actually give him a raise, giving him that mid-level contract. That is a guard that can come in and score and be a bucket. He's not a fantastic defender, but he's a good defender. He's like an offensive, older guard like that, but he'll come in and contribute, do stuff like that. So I think that's an option. I'll just look up NBA free agents and I'll mention guys I like. Let's see what we get here.
We might have to.
Blam. But yeah, there's a ton of guys. Like there's guys that are better at the 3, better at the D, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get an amazing guy at both because you don't have enough money for that. Like we got Jose Alvarado, be a solid backup point guard, decent defender, not a great scorer. Kyle Anderson.
There's no one at the level of KCP though.
No.
And that's the situation that the Nuggets are in.
No.
Will one of these other guys be able to step up and fill that role? Or do the Nuggets find their, Bruce Brown again and bring him in, but this time it ends up being a starter, a guy who's underperformed, and then all of a sudden comes in and plays great because Eric Gordon, I like Gordon when it was Gordon and Bledsoe with oh my goodness.
With the Cowboys back in the day.
Gordon, who was Gordon on the Cowboys?
No, I'm kidding. There wasn't, but I was just thinking of Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe, Eric Gordon,
those two played
Clippers,
together.
probably.
Where the hell did they play together? Well,
anyway.
Whatever it was, when those two were playing together, Gordon was one of those guys that's like, oh, keep an eye on him. He's a future star, and he's turned into be a good player. Okay, and that reflects in his $3 million contract. But the Nuggets, if they give out a contract to a guy, I think they've been very selective in who they're paying or want to pay recently. So I don't know if they're going to give a deal that beats out some other teams who might be looking to. Oh, weren't they with the Clippers?
I think that's what I said. Clippers.
Oh, I missed it.
You're fine. Yeah, I was like probably the Clippers. But I was also looking over here when I said it too, so it might not come in clear.
But yeah, so I was going to say maybe he reunites with the Clippers this year. I was going to say maybe the Clippers come in and get him.
They released him he was one of those like buyout guys. He got released or something like that. Like I think something happened. I don't know if he would go back there necessarily.
Maybe I don't know.
Alec Burks is a guy I see a name. He came in and contributed for the Knicks. Not a great defender, but he can score.
So
and maybe there you go. And like at the end of the day, you may be thinking about guys that you're just going to be bench contributors, and you just have to fucking bank on Christian Brown, and you just have to get him to score. Because I heard a stat the other day that is promising, but I feel like it's also because he didn't play a ton of minutes. Christian Brown had the highest, like plus or minus, alongside Nikola Jokic. Like that pairing was the best out of everybody else. But Jamal didn't play a ton throughout the regular season, so there's reasons for that to be the case. But like that, it technically does work. He plays defense. You need to get offense too out of that starting lineup. And maybe Porter figures it out and scores, and all of this ends up being a moot point, and they find some bench guys. But it's a lot of ifs. Let's see. Vlatko Chanchar, my guy. I think he's actually going to stick around.
Well, I mean, there's obviously plenty of time for these guys to start making moves. We got to wait till guys announce that they're not going to sign their contracts and all that fun stuff too.
Yep.
Yep.
Former Nugget Torrey Craig.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Go ahead, Colin.
I was gonna say we got to get to Game 7.
Yeah, speaking of Game 7,
Yeah.
holy crap! What did the Oilers do? Like, did they finally remember that they want to win?
They won a game 3 times in a row.
Yeah,
it's been dominating.
Barbovsky put his skate in his mouth or put it up to his throat. Did you hear what Barbovsky said? The goaltender for Florida.
No.
He was talking shit about the goaltender for Edmonton, like, oh, well, you got a guy out there who can't stop anything, blah, 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 blah. And this was after Game 3. And he was talking mad crap. I'll find it. I was trying to share something else, but
that's not the time to do that in hockey, especially because that's the sport where teams fucking come back down 3-0. Like, you really shouldn't talk that shit at that point. I mean, I guess...
not that it doesn't happen, but the last time it happened was 2013.
Oh, yeah, it's very seldomly. But it's happened more times in hockey than any other sport. I think baseball, it's happened a couple times. But,
Shut up.
Shut
up.
What do you mean? Did it? What happened?
2019, when the Blues.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think that it was some years before that. Obviously going down 3-0. I don't know what they found, but they all of a sudden let Connor McDavid skate free, which was stupid.
Yeah. It's been a totally different team. It's stupid.
Stupid.
Like,
it's not smart.
Like, I thought maybe they would stretch it out to 6 games. They would get lucky and stretch out to 7 is... I'm still blown away. I can't figure it out. Don't get me wrong. I love good hockey, and I don't have a horse in the race, so it makes it much more entertaining for me to just sit there and watch Florida just drown at this point.
Maybe I guess our picks of Edmonton have been coming back. There's a possibility. I don't know. All 3 of us picked it, so there's no way that Florida can win.
There's no way.
Obviously. I wish I could.
I wish I put money on that. That would have been sweet.
I wish I could find that.
I wouldn't be door dashing tonight if I did.
They're not here. There's not. I'm not going to spend any more time trying to find it, but yeah, he said some crap about Edmonton, their goalie, which is bad play on his part. It was kind of a joking comment and like easy goals getting let by, but man, ever since that might have been after Game 2, but I thought it was after Game 3 when it felt like things were over. Not anymore.
And speaking of over, congratulations to Cogsy on his retirement.
Yes, and the best thing about Cogsy's retirement.
He stays in the front office.
It's Tom Green's post about it. Andrew Cogliano retired today. 17 years in the NHL, missed 27 games. And that's what Chris Bryant would call May. Colorado Rocky. Alana
for
Rizzo,
those of you that don't know, that is not Tom
Rizzo
Green.
Commented.
That is not Tom Green, the comedian. That is Tom Green, the comedian and broadcaster for Denver 7.
Yes. One of the greatest.
Oh no, he's on Channel 9 now, isn't he?
He might have moved over.
He's back on Channel 9.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Would you like some sausage?
But,
Tom Green's he's a Denver staple, man. I love Tom Green. He's so funny, and he's so dry with it sometimes too. So witty.
yeah. Like, did you guys see Road Trip?
Oh yeah.
Yes. What he calls, taking a shot at Chris Bryant as we celebrate Andrew Cogliano. That's what the Rockies have become. But yes, Cogs, great career. Glad he won a cup here.
Did you guys get my text yesterday? Speaking of the Rockies, real quick before we move on.
I think so.
Did you see the All-Star Game hats?
No, I didn't see that.
I thought I sent it to you guys.
Nope.
So I went through, and
the one that said, "Yeah, you did." Maybe it was just to me then.
So it was a John Boy post, and it had all the hats from the All-Star Game.
Yeah, you posted it at 10:30 a.m.
There's a problem. There's only 29 teams on there. Who's got the ice cream truck going around?
Rockies don't deserve a All-Star.
They actually do. His name is Tovar, and he leads shortstops in almost every offensive category.
Ezekiel.
No, Tovar's been great. I was wrong up to this point about Tovar for sure. I thought that was a waste of money, but he's
burning it so
power
far.
in the bat. I still think he's a average defensive player, but
yeah, he's not going to be a perennial Gold Glover,
which is fine.
Yeah, he's not going to be a perennial Gold Glover, but if he can contribute offensively and make some of the plays he's been making, I'll take it. You know what else I'll take? Colin playing into the song.
This is the victory formation.
All right, boys, here we go. Best play in football. 6 right tight diamond victory on 1. Break.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
The Pick'em segment, proving that Colin Zanker is the most humble man in the history of time. Least. Featuring Nick Archuleta, wishing he was somewhere else. And Joe Goodwin, just kind of winging it.
Oh, yes, everybody. We are here in the victory formation, and, well, 2 of us tasted victory 3 times out of 4. One of us, not quite sure what the meaning of victory is, losing all 4 this week. Let's get into it.
One of them will be me.
We started off with the Brewers and Angels in a Monday night showdown in Los Angeles.
Barn burner.
Well, Nick and Joe decided to both pick the Brewers. They were wrong. Colin, myself, picking the Angels. They come out victorious 5-3 or 5-2, excuse me, in that one. So that's plus 1990 for me. We move on to the WNBA, and in the WNBA, the Wings took on the Sky, and well, the Sky just clipped the Wings. Joe, just so you know, you haven't won one yet, and you're not going to win one.
I didn't think so. I said, which one did I pick? I forgot. I picked the Wings then.
Chicago Sky come out on top, meaning Nick and I win 1388 there.
All right, we're going to go get that coffee.
Goes Florida versus North Carolina State. Don't leave, Joe. We got Pick'em coming up in a second. Don't you leave this show. Oh, my God, Joe. We have Florida versus North Carolina State. Florida beat North Carolina State 17-41 for Nick and myself. And the only game I lost was Kentucky versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M comes out victorious. Nick wins at 1685, meaning I came in first, winning 41-19, bringing me up over 300. Nick in second, 38-14, 261-43. Joe was in third, but still in first overall after losing $40. He's at 470. We move on to our picks of the week. We start off with Sunday Night Baseball. We have the New York Metropolitans, who Joe was talking about earlier, versus the Chicago Cubs. Nick, who you got?
So since Grimace threw out the first pitch, the Mets were undefeated until today. Cubbies got their revenge after being demolished yesterday. It's in Wrigleyville. It's at night. Wrigleyville gets a lot more fun. Now that they already snapped the Grimace winning streak, I'm going to go Cubbies.
Of course you're going the Cubs. Okay, still no Joe. All right, awesome. I'm going with the Mets because, as you said, Grimace threw out the first pitch, and they've been on a tear. They have been hot. These two teams are separated by 1 game in both the win and loss column. So give me the Mets. We'll just go ahead and go on to Edmonton versus Florida, Game 7 in Florida. I know I chose Edmonton to start this series. I wanted them to win it all, but I am going with Florida to wrap it up. They had this thing in hand. I think Edmonton has had to play the best hockey of their lives to get to this point. So I don't think they can continue on with that trend anymore. Give me Florida. Nick, who you got?
Like you said, Edmonton's been having to play for their lives. And yes, they will have to do it in Game 7, but it's in Florida. And I just can't see them keeping that tempo up for one more game. And that Florida crowd's going to be mad. They're going to be throwing rats on the ice. So give me Florida.
You throwing rats.
Joe, who you got, Edmonton or Florida?
I don't know, man. It feels like, I guess the crowd in Florida that goes to the game will probably care, but the city as a whole does not seem to care that much. I feel like Edmonton has their momentum, but at the same time, Florida can just beat the shit out of you. I want to take Florida, so I'm going to keep going against my gut and take Edmonton.
Mets or Cubs, Joe?
Mets or Cubs? Mets?
Cool.
Fuck
we move on to NCAA baseball. We have Texas A&M versus Tennessee. Number 3 versus number 1. Texas A&M does have the best ERA in College World Series. We are just doing Game 1, which is tonight. Today's first pitch is in about an hour and a half. Joe, who you got? Texas A&M or Tennessee? Technically Tennessee's home, but it's all in Omaha.
Omaha. Well then, I'll take the corn hook. No, let's. I don't know. Vols. Fuck it.
He is taking Tennessee. All right. Nope. This would be me technically. Yes. I really do want to take Tennessee because Peyton Manning, Todd Helton, and Texas A&M just has Johnny Manziel. But Texas A&M, I talked about it earlier, they had the best ERA. They've had one of the best runs in college baseball as of late. I'm going with A&M to win Game 1.
Buddy!
Nick, who you got?
Oh, the Aggies have been stupid hot. Aggies have looked really good, and I'm going to go Aggies all the way.
Oh, Aggies. Oh, man, that scares me. I hate picking Texas in these moments. I really do. And we move on to our amazing best teams in the WNBA. Not really. Both teams 3-12.
Hell yeah.
Can the Wings beat the Mystics, or will the Mystics put their magic on the Wings? Nick, who you got?
Mystics.
You can't pick the Wings. Oh, no, yeah, you didn't pick the Wings earlier.
I didn't.
All right. Joe, who you got?
I guess just stick with the Wings. Fuck it. I don't know what a Mystic tastes like, but wings are delicious.
I'm gonna go with the home team because there's nothing else to go with here. So yeah, give me the Mystics because yeah, why not? I don't know. I don't yeah, it's WNBA. Sorry. Yeah. I'm not I'm paying a little bit of attention, but not enough attention to know.
No. Name one player for either team without looking it up within 10 seconds.
Doesn't Aguma Wale play for one of those teams?
I don't know. See, that's more than I know.
Sure. But yeah.
I'm going to Google it.
Oh. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or whatever else. Thank you, Michael Smillen, and everybody over at e5280sports.com for hosting us. And thank you to all our friends that are still subscribing. Thank you for getting us over the mark that we could keep going on Facebook again. We love you guys. And don't forget to share it with everybody else. You know, if you enjoy it, then let other people know. We love talking sports. We love talking to you, and we love talking at you. For Colin Zanker and Joe Goodwin, I'm Nick Archuleta. This has been another episode of Undrafted Uncensored. Thanks, everybody. Love you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
I didn't recognize a